Thank you for attending the Florida 4-H virtual tailgate. This video is designed for all 4-H members, volunteers, and agents who want to learn about or get a refresher on the Florida 4-H tailgating contest. The purpose of this contest is to promote the use of animal protein in the diet. We do this by teaching the art and science of safely preparing beef, pork, poultry, and seafood in an outdoor setting, grilling. Youth who invest in this activity are going to learn life skills such as decision making, healthy lifestyle choices, and communication skills. My name is Brian Estevez, and I'm the 4-H agent in Escambia County. Today we're going to learn about an overview of the Florida 4-H tailgating contest, new rules for 2020, where our district and state contests are located. We'll share some lesson plans that have been developed. We'll talk about why your 4-H members should compete, and we'll learn about how to start your own grilling program. A quick overview of the 4-H tailgating contest. It's open to any 4-H members ages 11 to 18, intermediates and seniors, by September 1st of 2019. Contestants in the contest will have 2.5 hours to prepare a beef, pork, chicken, or seafood dish on a provided 14-inch charcoal grill, like the one shown in the photo. For each contest, it's limited to 10 members per protein area, with a maximum of 40 participants in the contest. Each contest is laid out like this. The first 30 minutes will be a cooler check, where we check temperatures of the raw product coming in. We want to make sure that our protein that is brought in is under 40 degrees Fahrenheit, so that our protein stays out of the danger zone, which is between 40 degrees and 140 degrees. Next, our participants will have 30 minutes to prepare their display on a table, which is a half of an 8-foot table. Then our grills will be lit, and observation judges will roam through the contestants and ask them questions regarding food and fire safety. Then up to 2.5 hours later, each student will submit their product for judging. And then at the very end, we'll have an award ceremony. To get more specific, to begin the contest, we'll do temperature testing. This is done at registration for raw product. Again, we want to make sure that their product is between 30 and 40 degrees typically. Students will lose points if it's over 40 degrees, and if it is over 50 degrees, they will not be able to compete. Our observation judges will also take temperatures of their cooked product to make sure that it hits specified temperature marks for each protein area. For beef, pork, and seafood, it needs to be at least a minimum temperature of 145 degrees. For ground product, it needs to be a minimum of 160 degrees. And for poultry, a minimum internal temperature of 165 degrees. Next, we'll talk about our table display. Each youth is going to create a table display for their recipe. Most participants will create a theme for their dish. You can see we have 4 photos of different examples of table displays. And this is just a way for our youth to utilize their communication skills and to talk to judges about their recipe, the ingredients they used, why they chose this particular product, and to share their knowledge on food safety principles and on fire safety. For our outdoor judging component, our judges, who are typically representatives of our sponsor companies, they're going to observe food and fire safety, and they'll also ask questions on food safety and product quality. Then for our indoor judging, our judges are looking at eating and visual desirability. So they want to know how it tastes and how it looks. If you've been competing in the Florida 4-H tailgating contest, here's some new rules implemented for the 2020 season. The first one, and the biggest one, is that no turkey is allowed and that half chickens are not required. In the past, we had these very specific rules on poultry, and we've done away with those. And poultry is going to be just like any other protein. Each contestant will provide 6 to 8 ounces of cooked portions for palatability for taste judging. That's chicken included. So that means that if you want to cook chicken thighs or chicken legs or chicken wings, you can do that this year. Also, new for 2020, our contestants will be required to turn products in specified time windows. So the first shrimp product cannot be turned in until at least 45 minutes have passed once grills have been lit. Pork will be a little bit after that, then beef, and then poultry, which should take the longest. Finally, new for 2020, the state contest will not be at the Strawn Center this year, but it will be at the UF Horse Teaching Unit in Gainesville. Now we're going to share our district and state contests, when and where they are. The Central Contest will be held in Dade City on May 9th. Northeast Contest will be May 16th at the HTU in Gainesville. The Northwest Contest will be in Chipley on July 11th, and the South Contest will be held in LaBelle on August 22nd. The State Contest will be in Gainesville at the Horse Teaching Unit on September 19th, 2020, and this will also be a part of the Florida 4-H at the Gator football game, and we'll have more information on tickets as it comes available. I will note that all of these dates are going to be fluid based on the COVID-19 outbreak. We've developed some lesson plans for you to utilize in your 4-H program, and this to increase learning with our 4-H members. We've created 5 of them. They're all on EDIS, and we'll share the link in just one second. But the first is on tailgate cooking equipment, just selecting and using basic equipment to safely use a charcoal grill. The next one's on safety while grilling, about food and fire safety and also personal safety. Our next one is building the fire. And our final 2, one is on smoking and slow cooking. And the final one is selecting proteins for grilling. You can find all of these lesson plans at the link provided here on EDIS. So why should youth compete? We've talked about this a little bit already, but really we're just developing life skills in our youth. Decision making, including food and fire safety, healthy lifestyle choices. You know, are they what kind of protein are they providing? Is it a low-fat version? Communication, that's part of the table display and talking to our judges. And then STEM skills, these science, technology, engineering, and math skills that our students are using while they're preparing their recipe and while they're cooking. Survey results from our past contests from 2016 to 2019 reveal that youth have increased knowledge or changed behaviors in identifying healthy cuts of meat, communicating the benefits of animal protein in the diet, use of meat thermometers to determine correct cooking temperatures, and prevention of cross-contamination and foodborne illness. And these are all great things that our youth have been learning while participating in this contest. Our parents are also reporting that youth are grilling at home for their families, which is an added benefit to this contest. Finally, your youth should compete in this contest because of the cash prizes that are offered by our generous sponsors, Winn-Dixie, National Beef, and Sonny's Barbecue. For each district contest, participants will receive a cooking thermometer, a $25 Winn-Dixie voucher, and a $15 Sonny's gift card. And then for our winners at each regional contest for each protein area, you can see the prizes here. First place is $400, second place $250, third place $100, and fourth place $50. And then the top 2 contestants in each protein will move on to the state contest. And then there at the state contest, our participants have the opportunity to earn a $1,500 first place scholarship and a $1,000 second place scholarship for each protein area. So we give away $10,000 at the state contest from our sponsors. You can see here at our state contest that we give out the big checks. We have other prizes for our winners, but they've done a great job. Our sponsors have to provide these opportunities for our youth. So next, let's talk about how to introduce youth to grilling. And if you are a 4-H member, these are some things that hopefully you can participate in. First is utilizing our lesson plans that have been developed. You can utilize these at club meetings. You can do them at home. Next, I would encourage 4-H agents to add grilling components to day camps. And 4-H members and volunteers, you can encourage your 4-H agent to do this as well. UF Animal Sciences has grills available that we move around the state for different day camps. So those are an option for your day camps. And then finally, have a county grilling competition. This could be a part of a day camp. This could be a standalone event. In Escambia County, we do the Tailgate Day Camp, where our youth are learning how to grill all the different protein areas. We also bring in a local fireman, and they learn about fire safety. You can see in the photo here, we learn about using a fire extinguisher properly. So these are just some different ways to introduce youth to grilling and some easy steps that each county around the state can utilize. Next, let's move into how to grill. So the first thing is, what are items that we need? You need a grill. We use a 14-inch Weber grill, charcoal, lighter fluid, a lighter chimney. And if you use a lighter chimney, you'll need some newspaper to catch on fire. Next, you'll need a grill brush to clean your grill, a hot glove because we're going to be moving grates around, a thermometer, of course, and then tongs, a fork, a spatula so we can flip our protein on the grill. First of all, we're going to prepare our grill. As you can see, these Weber grills have a bottom grate and a top grate, and they also have vents on the bottom and on our lid. We want to make sure our vents on the bottom are open and that we place our small grate on the bottom. Then our top grate, we'll go ahead and scrub it off, make sure it's nice and clean for grilling. Next, on our bottom grate, we want to create a charcoal pyramid if we're going to just light our charcoal. You can see on the left where the red X is, this charcoal's just kind of been spread out. And it'll light, but it'll take a long time. So the recommended way, like on the right with the green check mark, is to create a pyramid with your charcoal. You'll need 35 to 40 pieces of charcoal put in a pyramid, and then you can put little slips of paper in there, light them on fire, and that charcoal should light. You can also put lighter fluid on there to help stimulate the fire. A word of caution is the more lighter fluid you put on, the more that lighter fluid taste can transfer to your meat and give it some off flavors. Another option to light a fire is to use a charcoal chimney like this one here. These are relatively inexpensive. This one's probably around $10 at any local big box store. And it has two compartments. On the top is where you put your charcoal, and on the bottom, in the smaller compartment with the little holes, is where you'll put some newspaper or some sort of paper that you can light on fire. And once it lights, it'll catch your charcoal on fire from the bottom and rise to the top. Here's another picture of our charcoal chimney. Again, we have it sitting on our bottom grate, and it's lit, and then you can see the above view, our charcoal is catching on fire throughout. Once that charcoal turns to a white, ashy look, then you know it's done. If you are using a charcoal chimney, we do have a word of caution. If you see on the left where the red X is, once your charcoal is ready and you want to tip it out onto the bottom grate, you want to make sure that your leg or any other people are away from the back end of that chimney, because a flame could potentially shoot out the back. So you want to make sure, like on the picture on the right, that you've turned that chimney away from everybody and then dump it out onto that bottom grate. Next, you want to prepare your grill. We recommend that you put all of your charcoal on one side of that bottom grate, so that way you have a cooling zone. So if the fire or the temperature inside the grill gets a little too hot, you can move your protein over to the cool side where there's no charcoal to slow down the cooking process. As you can see, I'm using some tongs and a hot glove in this photo. Next, you want to put the top grate on, and then you'll put the lid on and make sure that top vent is open. If you close the vent, it limits the airflow through your fire, and it actually will decrease the temperature inside. So that's a good way to decrease the fire and the flame, is by closing the vents off. But to make sure your fire is good and hot, you want to make sure your vents are open. Next, let's talk about meat seasonings. Our 4-H members like to season their meat, and they like to do a lot of different varieties and types of seasoning. A word of caution is not to over season your meat, because you lose the taste of the meat, and too much salt can overpower your protein. So these are two porterhouse steaks. You can see the one on the left is over seasoned. The one on the right has some seasoning on it, but it's not totally covered, so it's gonna give you a better eating experience. Next, let's talk about grill spacing. There's two options that are shown here. The one on the left is a grill that's been full of chicken breast, and as you can imagine, the airflow on this grill is going to be minimal, and your grill's not going to be as hot, and it's going to take a long time to cook this chicken. So we would recommend cooking chicken like on the right, where you have a little more airflow going through your grill. Next, you want to check the internal temperature. Here's a digital thermometer that we use, and we want to make sure that we stick that thermometer in the thickest part of the protein. Here we're using a chicken breast, and we're using it on the wide end, the right end of this chicken breast. You have to be careful with this, putting your thermometer all the way inside the meat, and you want to make sure it's in the thickest part again. And then our minimum internal temperature for poultry is going to be 165 degrees. So once it hits that minimum temperature, then that can be pulled off the grill. Again, here's our minimum cooking temperatures for you to see. Beef, pork, and fresh shrimp have to hit a minimum temperature of 145 degrees. If you're using a ground product, such as ground beef or ground pork, it needs to hit 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and then poultry has to hit 165 degrees. So these are vital to make sure you don't get sick. When you're done with your grill, you want to make sure that you clean it, so that the next time you're ready to cook, you don't have any problems. So make sure you clean your grill afterwards, and you properly dispose of your charcoal. Some tips and tricks if you're going to compete in a contest. The first is making sure that you have a fire extinguisher and burn cream available. This would be a great thing to have for any 4-H members that are participating, to show some fire safety knowledge, but also for any volunteers and agents that are going to put on a contest, to make sure you have these, because accidents do happen. Most times it's just a small burn on the fingers, but you always want to be prepared for anything more major than that with a fire extinguisher. The next thing, especially for shrimp, is skewers, or if you're doing kebabs. What is recommended is to soak your wooden skewers in some water before putting them on the grill, so that they don't catch on fire, because this can happen and it can really ruin the appearance and the visual display of your product. So make sure they're just put in some water beforehand. Another note on skewered meat is the judges are only going to taste the meat, so any additional product will not be tasted. So in this picture, the peppers and onions that are alongside the shrimp, while visually appealing, will not be judged by the judges. Next is coolers. We found this problem for the last several years, and we wanted to kind of address it, is to not pack your cooler full of ice and place the meat on top. What is recommended is to put some ice in the bottom of your cooler, about halfway full. Then you'll put your meat, your protein, whatever you're cooking, and then put more ice on top of that. And make sure that you don't mix cooked and raw meat. It needs to be all raw or all cooked. And that way your meat will stay cold from the top and the bottom. Because some kids were just bringing in coolers full of ice, and their protein, let's say there were steaks on top, and then when they got to the initial temperature testing, their meat was out of range because it had not been cool enough. So that's one word of warning that we want to have for everyone, is to make sure you pack your coolers properly. So for more information on the Florida 4-H Tailgating Contest, you can visit the Florida 4-H website, and here's the link at the top here. Dr. Chad Carr is in charge of this contest. He's the Meat Science Extension Specialist with UF Animal Science. His email is on the slide, and then again, I'm Brian Estevez from Escambia County, and here's my information. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Dr. Carr or myself so that we can help you and hopefully get to see you at one of our Florida 4-H tailgating contests. Thank you for attending this virtual tailgate.